Well, we're going to talk about all sorts of things, but we're especially going to talk about life in the big house, aren't we? Because Mary used to work at Wheel Manor. And before that, where did you work before that?
I left school when I was 15.
Now, what year was that? Do you remember?
About 41, I should
About
think.
1941, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, yeah.
And I went up to Shropshire to a big house where my sister was working as a parlour maid.
Oh, yes.
And I went up to join her and to help in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then I'd been up there about a year, I think, and we had to sign on for one of the forces.
Oh, yes.
So I thought I'd try and get into the Wrens,
Yes.
because I had a fascination for sailors.
Dear. For sailors, not sailing.
You know, sailors.
Like the song, isn't it?
And unfortunately I didn't pass
Aw.
because of my eyesight.
Oh,
So I was, the house where I was working, they were big farmers.
Yeah.
So he got me to go into the land army.
Yeah.
I worked on the farm during the day, and then at night times, at 6 o'clock, I would have to work in the house, help out in the kitchen, and do odd jobs.
Yeah.
And
So that would be a very long day. That would be.
oh, it was a terribly long day
6
because
till
we had
6.
to get up at 7
Yeah.
in the morning, and they had an enormous kitchen range,
Yeah.
and which I had to light
Yeah.
to get it hot for the cook to come down to do breakfast.
So was that riddling out the ashes and?
Oh yes,
All
and
that.
fetching sticks, and
Yeah.
I think it was anthracite or coke,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, something like that. And but it was good. I enjoyed it
Yeah.
because it was something different, and each day was a bit different.
Yeah.
Used to help with the breakfast, and I always had to make sure that plates were put in the warming oven, otherwise cook would get cross. I had one or two little accidents, but you know, it was nothing serious. But the cook, she was cook housekeeper, but she was a dear old lady. She really was a sweetie.
She was kind to you.
Oh, she was so kind to me. She
Yeah.
really was. And I was terribly homesick, of course.
Yes.
Terribly homesick.
Yeah.
And
That
I
would
wrote...
make such a difference having somebody kind looking after you, wouldn't it?
Yes. I wrote to my mother and said, could you come and pick me up because I'm terribly homesick? And she wrote back and said, I'm sorry, darling, I can't fetch you back. You just have to put up with it.
Yeah.
And I
But
did.
Can't
but
you think of it? Your mum would have been so upset by having that letter
yes,
from you, wouldn't
she was.
Yes.
She was.
She would want you to be happy
Yes,
in your job.
because my father died when I was 9,
Oh, yeah.
and she had 8 children,
Unbelievable.
and she brought them up on her own.
Mm.
But, well, I mean, it was good. We all helped out and
Yes.
different things.
It would
But
make you a very close family, I imagine.
yes, very close.
Yeah.
But I think going into the service taught me an awful lot,
Yes.
because I learnt to cook, to clean, and do all the things which a lot of girls these days
They don't
just don't know how to do,
Mm.
which is, I think, is very sad actually.
Mm.
But we also had one or two enjoyments with people saying. We had, this was during the war,
Yes.
there was Nanny and 2 children, 2 boys. Nanny was terribly sweet too.
Yes.
She was a
That
great
was lovely. Yeah.
And we had this lady come to stay for a long weekend, and she was a bit of an alcoholic smoker.
Oh dear, dear. Yes.
And
Poor children.
one evening, the butler came shouting down the stairs. I think there's smoke coming from up in one of the bedrooms.
Oh my goodness.
And she'd set fire to the bed. She'd gone to sleep and left a cigarette,
Yeah.
and she'd burnt the bed. It wasn't too serious.
Did she survive it?
Oh yes,
survived it?
she wasn't harmed at all.
No.
Luckily it was the butler who...
I wonder if it shocked her out of her alcoholism.
Sorry?
I wonder if it shocked her out of drinking so much.
Well, I don't think so, because she used to return quite often.
Did she? Yeah, yeah. So you
But
saw her
she was... yes, we did have quite a few dinner parties.
Yeah. Now tell me, did you have a title, like it was cook? Were you just cook's help? Or you said your sister was the parlour maid?
No, I was just... First of all, I was a kitchen maid.
The kitchen maid, okay.
And then I was... I moved then to... Then I moved up to parlour maid.
Yes. Tell me the difference. Tell me the different jobs you had to do.
Oh,
those
the
two
different
things.
job. The parlour maid, well,
Yeah.
I mean, she had to see to all the breakfast trays, make sure the trays were ready or the table was ready, make sure that she had the right cutlery, polished every day, of course, with the silver and the brass.
Did she do that?
Sorry?
Did she do the polishing?
Yes, yes.
Right.
Which was hard work because there was quite a lot of it to do.
Yeah.
Kept the dining room clean because they didn't have a butler then, and served meals. She used to get up at 6 in the morning and used to go to bed about anything between 10 and 12 at night.
That's incredible.
It was a terribly long day.
Yeah.
We used to get, I think it was an hour off in the afternoons.
Yeah.
For a rest.
Yeah.
We used to have a half a day each week off, and Sundays half a day once fortnight.
It's not a lot.
So
is
you
it?
couldn't do much there,
No.
and the pay was absolutely ridiculous. The pay was £2 a week, and we got paid monthly. So
£8 a month.
£8 a month. So you had to eke out what you were going to do with your £8
Yes.
during the month.
Yeah.
But I mean,
And how far away were you from home then?
my mother used to buy my clothes,
Yes.
but the person I worked for, she used to supply the uniforms,
Yes.
which we had a morning uniform
Yes.
and an afternoon uniform,
Yes.
which was white apron and caps and coats in the morning,
Yes.
and black dresses with white caps and aprons in the afternoon.
Yes. Now, was it your job to keep them clean and wash them?
No, the laundry used
The
to
laundry
do
did
that.
that.
Yeah, but we did our own private washing.
Yes. Yes.
But there wasn't washing machines or anything.
No.
Like you had to do it by hand in the tub.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's quite different.
it really was great. But
What was great about it? Was it the kind of companionship of everybody else?
yes, because I think there must have been about 5 or 6 staff there, and of course, one girl was a Russian,
Good heavens.
and she was a beautiful skater.
Was she really?
Yes, she was beautiful.
Where did you see her skate then? Out on the pond?
They used
or
to have a
something?
pond,
Oh,
and when it froze over, she used to go down to the pond, and I used to go with her, but I couldn't even stand up.
no, I've tried it too.
But
Same
she
thing.
used to do 8s, figures.
she?
And she was marvellous. And then,
Do you know
when
what her story was? How did she come to be there? Do you know?
I can't quite
I
remember
wonder
how
if
she
she's
came
escaped
to.
from the Russian Revolution. or
She
something.
escaped. I think she escaped and went to America.
Oh,
And then she went to, I think she went to France or somewhere,
yeah.
and then on to London.
Yes.
And it was, while she was in London, that the person she worked for contacted the person I worked for
Yes.
to say that she was looking for a job. And,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But that was
Very
super. But,
interesting. Yeah.
I mean, we all shared each other's conversations, you know, and talked about different things. And
Yes. Did you have a good laugh?
oh yes,
Yes. Did you have a good laugh about them up there?
oh yes,
Yes.
quite.
I think it's...
Sometimes you'd hear them shouting at each other or
Oh, yes.
having your crosswords and
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
but yes, I mean it really was good. Then when the war ended, they bought the manor house in Bampton
The same
the-
family.
by the surgery.
Oh yes.
That would where Lord Dunamore lives.
Yes. So Bampton Manor, not Weald Manor.
Yeah, Bampton
Yes.
Manor. They bought that,
Yes.
and I came down with them.
Yes.
And
Now, what family was that?
that was the same family.
So is that the Munsters? Or is
Yes,
that the one
the
that-
Munsters.
The Munsters, yes.
Yeah. And I came down with them. The house wasn't ready, so we went to stay with the family at Pusey House,
Yes.
and that was something else.
Was it? Now, whose house was that?
That was Hornby's.
Oh, was it?
Hornby's.
Yes.
They
So
were.
that's not a titled family, that was an industrial family, is that right? Or...
I think he belonged to W.H. Smith, something to
Oh,
do
did
with
he?
W.H. Smith.
Right.
I think
Obviously.
so.
Yes.
Well, we stayed there for about 6 weeks, I think, but it was completely different to what I was used to, because the butler more or less kept to his own quarters.
Oh, yes.
The housemaids more or less kept to their quarters, and you were you weren't cast aside, but
So was it a kind of hierarchy then?
yes,
A very strict
strict
hierarchy?
hierarchy, yes.
And you,
Very
each
strict.
little layer kept to itself?
Yes, yes.
Now tell me, in those two houses, how many staff were there? Do you remember, more or less?
Oh, I think there must have been about 7 at Pusey,
Yeah.
and 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 6 at Bampton.
Yes. Yes, it's quite a lot, isn't it?
The-
And that's not counting the ones who were working in the
Oh
garden?
no,
that's
that
just
didn't
in
count. No,
Just
the
in that.
gardeners and that were separate.
Yes.
But yes, when we left Shropshire, the cook retired.
Yes.
She was aging a little bit, so she went back to her home in Doncaster,
Yes.
and I came with the Munsters, and I was asked if I'd like to do the cooking.
Yes.
And I said, well, I would take on as a 3 months trial.
Yes. Did that make you nervous?
I was at first, terribly nervous,
Yes.
because I'd never done it on my own before.
You've never been in total
I'd always
control?
had someone there to help me.
Yes. It's a big
But
step there.
I tried to remember all that cook had taught me.
Yes.
So I was doing quite well, and then the Countess said, we're very pleased with you, would you like to stay on? And I said yes. Well, that was the only job I ever had.
Isn't that amazing? Yes.
And I stayed with them until, when did I leave? I left about 1950, I think.
Did you?
And I went to live with Mother. I
Oh.
got fed up with it a bit, and I thought I needed change.
Yes.
Oh, I got engaged to Roy then.
You know, he was
I
a
was
sailor then,
engaged.
wasn't he?
To Roy.
Yeah, he was a sailor then, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yes. So you found a
got
sailor. Yes, even without going to the wedding. So that was good.
Yes, it was.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Yes, it really was.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the meals. Tell me about what was served up at each meal. Were they big, enormous breakfasts? Because now people tend to have corn
Yes,
cakes
the
and run out the door.
breakfasts were like fruit juice, grapefruits, any like scrambled egg, poached egg on toast, bacon, sausages, toast, honey, marmalade, coffee,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is quite a variety.
Yes.
And then lunch times were just a main meal. Never had a starter at lunchtime.
Yeah.
A main meal, which might be casserole or roast or hare,
Yes.
pheasants,
Yeah.
things like that.
Dessert as well?
Yes, desserts.
Yeah.
They love like spongy puddings and all the fattening puddings that you you shouldn't be eating.
I had to cook something called guardsman's pudding once. I never cooked anything so full of calories. It was suet and eggs and cream and jam. It was unbelievable. So that would be the kind of thing you were cooking, even if it wasn't that name. But I remember cooking that one. Yes. People don't eat puddings like that now, do they? No.
But they're lovely. I mean, the one that I used to love was a German pudding that they brought back from Germany, and it was so simple to do. You got white bread, squared white bread, you cut it in half, you fried it in butter on both sides,
Mm-hmm.
and when it was just brown, you put it into a hot dish.
Mm.
And when you'd done the bread, you poured in golden syrup and on top. And when the syrup had gone down, you put cream in. And then you poured this over the toast. And it's the most delicious pudding you've ever tasted.
It just makes me laugh, because it is so full of calories, isn't it? But it sounds
I know,
wonderful.
but-
That would keep the cold out.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
used to love it.
Yes, I would love it too.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would
It's
allow
so
myself.
simple to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, and delicious.
And I think they used to have it about twice a week.
Did they really?
Yes,
Yeah.
and they used to have summer puddings and
Yeah.
things like that. Lots of fruit during the summer.
Yes.
But evening times they would have either a starter of fish or soup or something in that line, or curried eggs,
Yeah.
poached eggs with... Oh, they used to have poached eggs with spinach
Yeah.
on for a start, and they used to love that. And then had mayonnaise on the top, homemade mayonnaise
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
top. That was lovely. And then the main course would probably be Vienna schnitzels with vegetables, and they used to love sauté potatoes. They didn't like just plain potatoes, mashed, roast, sauté, and we used to do them with bacon,
Yes.
cut them in cubes, do them with bacon.
Mm.
That was delicious.
Yes, that sounds good.
And then of course another pudding, they used to have melons or anything like that, but
Is
and
it with
coffee,
cheese as well?
cheese and biscuits.
Yeah. It's 2 huge meals a day, isn't it?
Oh yes, yes. And then they used to have quite a lot of people to stay, like Duke and Duchess of Marlborough.
Yeah.
They used to come a lot.
Did they come with their servants as well?
No,
No, they just came on their own.
just came on their own.
Right.
We had Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands.
Did you? Yeah.
He was a sweetie.
Oh, was he?
Oh,
What made him a sweetie?
he came, he was Dutch,
Yeah.
and he came with his bodyguard,
Yeah.
and Roy was butler
Yes.
at the time,
Yeah.
and said, would you like me to unpack for you, sir? And he said, oh Roy, I'll help you. So he opened the case, and when he opened the case there were all these teddy bears
No.
on top of his clothes, and each teddy bear came from one of his daughters. He had 4 daughters.
Yeah.
And his,
One of whom's the Queen now.
sorry?
One of them must be the Queen now, mustn't it?
Yes, she's
It must be Queen Beatrice, isn't it? Is it? I forget.
Yeah, Juliana was
Oh,
his wife, wasn't
Yes,
it?
that's right. So it's Queen Beatrice now. I think.
Beatrice, that's
Yes.
right, yes.
Yes,
Well, each one was placed on his pillows
To remind him of his
to
children.
rhyme him. And he was just throwing everything out. This is mine, this is yours. But he was so sweet
Yes, and generous.
and generous.
Yes.
He did come down to the kitchen. He only stayed one night.
Yeah.
Came down to the kitchen to thank me for his lovely dinner.
Yes.
I can't quite remember what he had, but I
Yes.
mean all the best gold plates and everything came out, and it was absolutely beautiful.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
Such a different scene, really. That's like almost fairy tale.
Yeah, I mean, as I got older, things changed.
Yes. When did they start to change, do you think?
Well, after the war, I should think it was a
Yes.
couple of years after the war, because
Yes.
after the war it was a bit downy,
Yes.
because food wasn't around much. You know, you had to be very careful.
Yes. But I know Rosemary Colville said to me, she said I should ask Major Colville to tell me the fish and soup houses. He said there were fish and soup houses in Bampton, and those were the ones that all through the war managed to have fish. Well, they managed to have all the courses, fish and soup and the main course.
Really?
Yes, I shall ask her, sometime I shall ask her which ones they were, or ask him. Yes.
All right.
Yeah. But then after the war, it was a very bleak time, wasn't it?
Yes.
With rationing and everything.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
And that would make a lot of difference for
It
the
was
cook.
very tight. You
Yes.
know.
Dried eggs.
Yeah. But, yeah, you know, I mean, I wouldn't change it.
Yes. You reckon you had a good life?
Well, I think so, because, I mean, all the things I was taught has stayed with me,
Yes.
and I've been able to do the things properly.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I just love cooking.
Isn't that fantastic?
And I love trying out new dishes.
Do you? You
Oh.
still do? Yes. Well,
If-
Roy's very lucky. I must say it's a very good thing he's an energetic man, because if he wasn't an energetic man and you cooked him that delicious pudding that you mentioned twice a week,
He doesn't eat puddings.
he does it just as
But
well.
he does some cooking.
He does some cooking.
Yes, he
himself.
does
So he
cooking.
likes cooking.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. If I do new dishes, I try it out on my daughter Penny and her husband,
Yeah.
and if they like it, then
Yeah.
I used to say, Penny, what was the pudding like? Oh, it was gorgeous, Mum. I said, I haven't tasted it yet. Oh, well, she said, it's gone.
That's very nice. So that lasted with you forever.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
You wouldn't remember the sort of days just before the war. Your sister.
Well, I
then-
was,
Because your sister was a parlour maid at that time. She'd be a parlour maid just before the war, when presumably things were very different then.
I think I was, 9 when the war broke out.
Yes.
And I can remember it. It was a Sunday, and I can remember my mother being in the kitchen with the radio on, an old-fashioned radio where you had accumulators
Yeah.
with them to drive them. And she sat us all down in the big kitchen, and she said, there's going to be some very bad news on the radio, and I want you all to listen. But we were young. I mean, my youngest sister was only 5, I think, so she wouldn't really understand. And of course, at 11 o'clock, they said that Britain was at war with Germany. And so we turned round and we said, well, Mum, what's that got to do with us? We're English.
Yeah.
And she tried to explain, you know, but I mean, I was lucky during the war.
Do you think it was a good place to be during the war?
Well, yes, we
working
were.
in the
We
big
got
house.
bombed. We didn't actually get bombed, but bombs were dropped about 2 miles from us.
Yes.
One morning, we all got shaken out of our beds at 2 o'clock in the morning. But at night times, we used to count the planes going over. And then we used to wait for them to come back and count them, and
See, they were all right.
yeah, but we were all right, you know.
Yes.
We were lucky.
Yes. But you were working, at that time you were working as a land girl as well.
Yes, yes.
So must have been quite hard because you were doing all the jobs that the men had done previously. So that's
Yeah,
quite physically hard, isn't it?
We used to do stacking up corn in the fields. They used to do sheaves.
Yeah, yeah.
We used to love that. Great fun. There used to be about a dozen girls doing it, and we'd work about an hour, and then we'd say, right, it's time for our 11s. So we used to take a flask and a couple of sandwiches, which we had to do ourselves, of course. We used to sit, and quite often we fell asleep because it was so tiring. A couple of times we got caught with the farmer, and we had to stay extra time. Yeah. And then we used to do potato picking, hoeing Swedes, name it, turnips, anything like that. You know, it was.
But looking back, all those jobs now are mechanised, aren't they? They're all done by machinery.
Yes.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
We don't have sheaves of corn anymore, do we?
No. Potato picking was the worst because you got terrible backache.
Did you?
Oh, terrible backache. And you had to sort the big ones from the little ones.
Yeah.
And, But it wasn't, I used to love being on the farm, but I didn't like it when it was wet and cold.
Yeah, don't blame you. You were a fair weather farmer. Yes.
You know, you got wet and then you'd go home and get dry, and then the next day back at, the summers were lovely. Yes. But not the winters.
Yes. Did you have to do with the animals as well? I mean, were you milking cows and this kind of thing?
No, they had a cayman and that there. The only animals I fed were the cats.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, fed the cats.
Yeah.
And they had an awful Siamese. Oh, he was dreadful. We had this enormous kitchen, and he used to sit on this big window, which was all leaded, and he used to cry. And you'd think it was a baby. Yeah. And he used to sit there, and I used to say, for goodness sake, get off. And I said to the cook one day, I'm going to throw a bowl of water over him one day. And she said, I don't think so. Anyway, I wasn't in a very good mood one day, and he kept doing it. I opened the window, threw the bowl of water out, and it wasn't the cat I ate, it was somebody else.
So who did you hit?
I think it was one of the boys that was working on the farm.
Right.
And I ran out and I said, I'm terribly sorry, but I meant to hit the cat. And he said, I know it's a nuisance, Mary, but he said, can you look next time? I said, well, can you whistle?
That's a very nice story.
You know, it
could have been the cow.
Really was enjoyable.
Yes.
I really loved it.
Yes. Nice people to work with.
Yes.
And nice people to work for.
Yes.
Yes.
They were really kind. I mean, when I got married, I was married in Colesbourne in Gloucestershire, and the Countess gave me all my bed linen.
Oh, fantastic.
Everything, you name it, it was there.
Yes.
Stacked.
How lovely of her, though, because that's such
really
a good start,
and
isn't it?
yes, and I don't think we ever had a crossword.
Yes, that's a very good memory
Never
to
had
have
a
of her,
crossword.
isn't it? Yes.
She was so sweet. I mean, when I left and I got married, before she died, once or twice I'd been up, she'd been round to see me and said, Mary, I got no help. Could you come and cook me a lunch or a supper? Yes. And I did, and it was lovely.
Yes. Yes.
She really was a sweetie.
Yes.
Yeah, I liked her very much.
Yes. No, that's marvellous.
Yeah.
It was Countess Munster that designed the garden there, isn't it? Because the garden at Bampton Manor is a lovely garden.
Yeah.
Was that her design or was that somebody else's? Do you know?
Sorry?
Was that her design, the garden, or was it always laid out like that?
No, she did that.
Yes, I thought so.
She did that.
Yes, and she's a very beautiful
I
garden.
can't quite remember what it was. Because during the war, I think it was used as a hospital or
Oh,
something.
was it?
Yes, I think it was. I'm not
Yeah.
sure, but I think it was.
Yeah.
Yes, she designed all the garden. She was a great gardener.
Yes.
Yes.
So Roy must have learnt a lot of his gardening from her, or did he teach her?
Well, I
Bit of
think
both.
Roy more or less taught himself, you know, just
Yeah.
watched people, and because his brother Francis, of course, was a gardener over there.
Yes, yes.
And I think it just rubs off in the family
Yeah.
and generation after generation.
Yeah.
Because now Penny is very busy. She loves gardening,
Mm.
so she's following in her dad's
Yes.
footsteps.
Does she like cooking too?
Yes, she does.
Yeah. And was your mother a good cook?
Yes, and she also did, to make extra money, she used to take in washing for the big house in Pewsey, all the table napkins and tablecloths and, you know, all the best things. She used to do that. And
Did she have an electric iron, or did she have one of
no,
those?
she had irons
Yes.
that you heated up on a Rayburn.
Yes. So you had to put it flat on the ribbon. You had to make sure it was just right.
Yes. You burn your hands quite often.
And did you go like this?
But yes.
You put a bit of spit on your finger
Yes.
and touch the iron and see if it went. Yes, to see if it was the right temperature. No temperature gauge or anything.
No, no.
No, just a bit of spit.
I mean, she was marvellous. She really
Yes,
was.
8 children,
Yeah.
taking and washing. Fantastic, isn't it? It's a very hard
Yeah,
life, but
yeah.
you remember it as happy.
She just worked and worked and worked.
Yes.
Yeah, she was really marvellous.
Because even washing them was different, wasn't it? Because if you're washing the linen, you have to get it at just the right temperature to iron it. Do you use starch as well?
Oh yes.
I don't think people now know what starch is
No,
or what you have to do.
What my mother used to do was, we had a little outhouse, and in this outhouse was a copper,
Yes.
which you lit a fire underneath, you filled the copper up with water. When it was boiling, you put all the whites in and boiled them. Then she'd probably do her housework while that was doing, and go back, take it out, rinse it 2 or 3
Take
times.
it out with a copper stick.
Out of the copper,
Yes.
into buckets or bars,
Yes.
tin bars,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and then she'd get one bath with, they used to use blue bags.
Yes.
Do you remember blue bags?
I don't remember them being used, but Reckitt's blue used to be
Yes,
on the
Reckitt's.
posters, didn't it?
Yes, yes,
And it was just a very faint blue dye to
yes.
make the things look whiter.
And it made things white.
Yeah.
And then the starch process.
Okay, tell us about the starch process, because nobody does that these days either.
No, they use spray starch now, don't.
If they do it, yes. So that was, you had to mix your starch?
Oh yes.
Was that done in the tin
It
bar?
was it was like mixing corn flour.
Yeah.
You know, you put so much in, and then you added the water gradually.
Yeah.
If you had it too thick, it would come out like more. So you had to be very careful to get it just right, because otherwise, if you opened a serviette and it was hard, no one's...
Maybe you'd scrape your face rather than wipe it, yes. Yes.
But
Yes.
I suppose in a way one could write a book.
Yes, it is such different times, you see. It's such different time.
But
Isn't
you
it?
know, it's...
Now people just shove the thing in the washing machine.
Sorry?
Now people just shove the thing in the washing machine, don't they?
They really don't know life,
No,
do they?
no, quite different.
I mean, it was like children these days. Now, when we were small, to earn our penny a week,
Which is a half penny, isn't it, these days? I mean,
Yes.
it's worth a half
Yes.
penny, which we don't even have now.
we each had a chore to do.
Yes.
Someone had to clean shoes, someone had to chop sticks, someone had to do the coal, someone had to fetch the milk. You had to do all your chores, and if you didn't do them, you didn't get your penny a week. In a penny a week, I mean, you could buy lots for a penny a week in those days.
What would you buy?
We used to buy packets of crisps was a farthing.
You better say what a farthing is.
Yeah, like Walker's crisps now, but
Yeah.
more in the packet was a farthing. You used to be able to buy loose sweets like 6 for a farthing or 8 for a farthing.
Now, a farthing is a quarter of an old penny, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, a quarter.
So it's an eighth of a
Yes.
new penny.
Yes.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah. We used to buy licorice laces,
Yeah.
things like that. You know, it's.
Yeah.
But we never bought chocolate. We
Was it-
never had chocolate.
Was that too expensive?
It was too expensive because
Yeah.
they were in big bars.
Yes.
You didn't very often see the tiny bars.
Yeah.
They were big bars. The only time I think we would have it is like at Easter, or we'd get a little Easter egg, or at Christmas, something like that, but otherwise not. But my mother didn't really like us having a lot of sweets.
Oh, very sensible.
But we used to take apple each day to school, and the other thing that she did insist on, and I really hated, we had porridge every morning to go to school to keep us warm in the winter, and those fisherman's friends lozenges. Before you go out the door, she'd stand there with the bag. You each took one, and you had to put it straight in your mouth because she was watching you. So on the way to school, you'd see us all spitting them out into the grass.
They're very burning, aren't they? They're very hot.
Yeah, but she said it'd keep the cold away. And I think she probably was right because we hardly ever had a cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the only thing was, when someone got the measles,
Uh-huh.
8 of us had measles.
Yeah.
And same with chicken pox.
Yeah.
Poor mother.
Yes, that she must have had her hands full. 8 of you with chicken pox.
He used to say, "Who's going back to school today?"
Where was school? Was that
Buckland.
Oh, in Bampton.
Mm.
How did you get there?
Walk
How
from
long?
Pusey.
From Pusey.
Mm.
Yes.
Used to take us, used to take us about an hour, I think. We used to leave home about 8 o'clock and walk across the fields. And, yeah, we didn't mind it. We hurried to school, but on the way home we relaxed a little bit.
And played.
But we always had to cross a main road, the main Oxford Road.
Yeah.
And this particular day they'd been tarmacking, and I think someone must have tripped me up or something. We were running and someone probably knocked me over, and I fell onto the road and had my knees all cut open. So I got to the school and they looked at my knees, because there was, I don't know why there wasn't a doctor or anything nearby, but there wasn't. Anyway, I had a job to get home that night because they were so sore.
Oh.
And Mum said, "What have you done?" And so we told her, and she said, "Well, I think I better get the doctor to have a look at you." She rang the doctor, but there was an old lady living next door, and she was a nurse. I think she'd been a midwife. And she called round, and Mother said, "Oh, Mary fell over, could you have a look at her knees?" And she said, "Oh, my dear," she said, "you are in a terrible state," because they'd got all tar on them,
Yeah.
where they'd been tarmacking the road. And she bathed them, she tried to get it clean, and the doctor came and he said, "Oh, I think you may have to go into hospital to get them cleaned up." And I started crying because I'd never been away from home.
Poor little lass.
And I was only about 10,
Yeah.
11. And I was so upset, and he said, well, we'll leave it tonight and see how you are tomorrow. And he asked the old nurse if she could come in and see to me, and she said yes. So he said, I think you better let the little girl sleep downstairs, not to use her legs to go upstairs. So Mum had to put a little bed up downstairs for me, which I enjoyed that because I was with
Special.
Mum all the time.
Yeah.
And but I was home for 6 weeks with my bad knees.
Really? Was that?
They'd all
just
gone
from-
septic,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
yeah,
Was it a big event to call the doctor?
it was,
Yeah.
because he had to come from Farringdon.
Oh. And it cost, presumably.
Yeah, but they used to pay in a hospital thing. You paid so much a week,
Yeah.
and then,
So it was like a sort of insurance.
yes,
Yes.
it was like an insurance, yeah,
Yeah.
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 But, I mean, that didn't happen very often. That's the only time I could ever remember, or when we had chicken pox or measles,
Yes.
but nothing serious, you know,
Yes. Healthy lot.
no,
All of you. Healthy.
yeah.
Shall we stop there? Shall we
Sorry?
stop there, or can you think of any more things we should talk about? Can you think of any more things about childhood you can talk about? What about games that you played? Because of course there's no television
Oh, we
then.
used to play hopscotch.
Yes.
Do you know hopscotch?
I can just remember it. You describe it, how you played it.
You drew squares from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
You had a stone. You hopped on one leg, and you had to knock the stone from 1 into 2,
Yeah.
and then over to 3, then up to 4. But if you dropped your leg, you were out. So you
So
had to
all
go
this is
all
hopping.
the way back.
Yeah.
The next person went, and the first person to go all the way up was the winner.
Yeah.
That was quite good.
Yeah.
But we used to do lots of sports at school.
Yeah.
Long jump, running, high jumps, wheelbarrow races, sack race, egg and spoon race.
Was that just for sports day, or was that sort of every week?
No, each week we used to have a half a day
Oh, lovely.
for doing it. We used to do a thing with hoops. I think it was called hoopla or something.
Oh.
Hoopla.
Mm-hmm.
And then we used to play tops with spinning tops. Had a top, and you wound string round it, and at the end of the string was a small piece of wood you held in your hands.
Yeah.
To get the top started, you had to put it down and pull the string quick to make it spin.
Yeah.
And once it was spin, you had to try and keep it spinning with the string.
Yeah.
That was very good. That was exciting,
Yeah.
because it took you ages to learn. And once you'd learned it, somebody would come up with a different game. So then that was the end of that one.
Yeah.
We used to play, what was it called? Statues.
Now, how did you play that?
Statues. You had a group of people. One person would go and face the wall and count, say, to 10. Those people in the group would start walking or being stupid or something. And after 10, you turned round, and if anyone moved, they were out.
So that's why you had to stay really still.
Yes, so
Yeah.
some of them was...
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah.
You know, each time someone was different, and
Yes.
it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Marbles? Did you play marbles?
No, the boys played marbles.
Boys played marbles.
No, we didn't play marbles.
What about skipping?
Yes, skipping.
Is that just girls or boys and girls?
No, girls mostly.
It's funny,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. I can't really think what the boys and girls did together. I mean, it was all right for a sports day because everyone joined in then. But, you know, normally it was, well, the school was divided actually with two playgrounds, the girls in one and the boys in the other. So, of course, you never came in contact with the boys' games and them not with you. So they used to play football and things like that.
Yes. And the girls were a little bit quieter.
Yes, but
Not, were they?
I mean, the only thing we never played was tennis and things like that, which
Oh,
never played tennis or oh, badminton, things like
Yes.
that, which,
well, mind you, the rackets, I expect, were quite expensive.
yes, I mean, I wouldn't know, but, oh, the boys used to play cricket.
Yes.
Um,
Were the lessons different? Did the boys have some lessons that the girls didn't have, and vice versa?
the girls used to have sewing classes.
Yes.
The boys used to have carpentry or gardening.
Yeah.
We didn't have cookery, but what else? Oh, we had music. We didn't really do a lot in that kind of thing. You know, just apart from the other lessons, which some of them were quite hard. It was Church of England school, so it was quite religious.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Really? Was there a lot of religious instruction, RI,
Yes.
in your classes? Did you have to learn bits of the Bible?
Yeah.
You've got a scowl on your face. You didn't like it very
Well,
much.
it used to bore me to tears.
Did it? Yeah.
Oh.
Put you off?
So, you say, the thing I didn't mind arithmetic.
Yeah, that's unusual.
I loved dictation,
Did you? Yeah.
loved reading,
Yeah.
spellings. I didn't do too bad. I mean, my twin brother was in the same class as me,
Yeah.
and we had an exam. And Mother says, I hope you'll both do well. I said, we can only try and do our best.
Very, very wise.
I hope you will. And when we went for the results, I came top in the class.
Very good.
I was so pleased with myself. And I turned round to my brother and I said, how did you get on? He said, not as well as you. And I said, oh, Mother's going to be pleased, isn't she? And he was just about to hit me one. And I said, don't you dare. And we went home. And Mother said, how did you get on? I said, ask George first. She said, George, how did you get on? Not very good. Mary, how did you get on? Came top.
Poor George.
He said, Mama, murderer. Anyway, she bought me a second-hand bicycle
Did
to
she?
come in top of the class.
Yeah.
And the next day I rode it to school and she said, that will save your legs. Well, I'd only been on the bicycle 5 minutes. Along comes George. It's my turn to have a ride. I said, it's not your bicycle, it's mine. Mum bought it for me. She said I could have a ride. I said she did not. We argued. I said, we're going to be late for school. Not if I get the bike. Anyway, he took the bike. He went off. And what happened, he had an accident with it. He buckled all the front wheel.
So you had that bicycle about 10 minutes.
10 minutes. I was broken-hearted. That night I went home and told my mother. She said, well, that's it. She said, George, you never have a bicycle as long as I'm alive.
Oh, dear.
Anyway,
I feel sorry for George, actually. It wasn't his fault he didn't come top.
he was only 13.
Yes, yes.
And I said, oh, Mum, you can't do that. And I said, we can fix it. Anyway, George did fix it. He went and got someone to give him a wheel and someone to give him a mud guard, and he fixed it. And,
Really, well done. So he learnt something from it. Yes.
But I mean,
But it would be such a tragedy then. Getting a bicycle was such a big thing,
yeah.
wasn't it?
I mean, it was unheard of in those days
Yes.
for anyone to have a
It
bicycle.
was very, very
It
special.
was very, very rare you saw anyone on a bicycle.
Yeah.
But I was so pleased with it, and flop.
Well, it was
Then
sad.
the next bicycle I had for my 20th birthday, and that was from the Count and Countess Munster.
Really? They gave you a bicycle?
Yeah, my birthday came along, and we never used to talk about birthdays because people hadn't got the money,
Yeah.
you know. And she came in this state to do the meals for the day. And she said, Mary, the Count and I would like to wish you happy birthday. And I said, oh, my lady, thank you both very much indeed. That's very nice of you to remember. So the Count came in then, and he said, Mary, can you just come out here? I want to show you something. And I said, yes, sir. Walked out behind the two of them. And he said, happy birthday. And there it was, all wrapped up with red paper and big bows of ribbon. I just stood and cried.
That must have been such an event.
Oh, I couldn't get over it.
Yeah.
It was such a beautiful bike.
Was it?
Oh, it was beautiful.
And all done up in red paper?
Oh, it was lovely, and all these big red bows.
Yeah.
So he said you could have the afternoon off and you could go for a bike ride.
What time of the year was it?
Oh, it was spring.
So you could go for a bike
Yes,
ride?
spring, yes,
And you did?
yeah.
And there wasn't many cars about then, were
No,
there?
no,
So it was safe?
I just loved this new bike.
Yes. That's a lovely story. That's a very nice story.
They were really, really thoughtful. I mean, Christmas time, the presents she gave you were so useful.
Yes.
There was nothing, you know, it wasn't just a book.
Yes.
It was either hairbrushes or ribbons for your hair or handkerchiefs or stockings. You
Yeah.
know, anything was marvellous, really, the way she thought about everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how many staff was she thinking about then?
There was about
5 of you?
5 or 6 then.
Yes.
And that was quite a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it sounds happy times.
Oh, it was.
And it sounds a happy childhood.
I really did enjoy my childhood.
Yeah.
In fact, the day I left school, I cried
Yeah.
because I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
I loved school that much because I had lots of friends
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And my mum said, well, I'm sorry, but she said, you just can't stay on.
Yes.
And
Did everybody leave at 15 then?
yes, yeah. Well, they left there at 15, but then if you were clever enough to pass, in those days it was 11 plus,
Yes.
you could go to Farringdon Elms.
Yes.
But it meant buying uniforms
Yes.
and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
So if you were
yeah,
not too
I
well
mean,
off, you didn't get to
if
go.
one went, it wouldn't be just fair that if one went, the others
Yes.
couldn't go. So
So none of you went on to the grammar school?
no.
But you were all clever, I expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only benefit we've got is that Bridget and Penny were well educated here and Henry Box,
Yeah.
and then Penny's been back to college since,
Yeah.
and is in with computers.
Oh, right.
So she's got a marvellous job,
Yeah.
and Bridget lives in Ireland, and of course she's a chef.
So she took after you. Very nice.
So
And did you teach her? Did you teach her lots of your recipes?
I think Bridget learned a lot from me.
Yeah.
They both did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very nice. It's a nice thing to be able to pass on, isn't it?
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lovely.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Bridget really is a good cook.
Yeah.
In some things, she's better than me.
Yeah.
She's had more experience.
Yes. Yeah.
But
That's lovely. It's been so nice talking to you. I found it just lovely
oh,
talking
Jo,
to
I've
you.
enjoyed doing it.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah,
Yes.
I
No,
loved
I think
it.
it's lovely.